After letting this dry for 2 days, it's ready to start working with it. Before you start painting, you want to prime your foam so that there's no teeny gaps within it and you'll have a smoother finish. For painting it, I'm just mixing a little bit of orange with brown to make it a nicer shade of orange and painting the mask fully. And yes, I mean fully. I coated mine about 3 times, letting it dry in between each paint coat, but yours could be more or less depending on the quality of your paint. You just want to make sure that it's fully covered and none of the parts are see-through. I'm using a cheaper quality paint. As you can see in the middle of the mask, there are some parts where the white is still showing through, and that is why I went over this mask maybe 2 or 3 more times just to make sure it's fully covered. After painting it with 3 coats, I go back in to do the detail for it, and to be honest, I was a bit nervous at this point, so please take your time. We're going to paint in the iconic black lines of Obitos' mask, and for these I only did 1 coat out of fear of messing up, but they turned out really nice and didn't need a second coat to support it. The great part about this step of the mask building tutorial is that you already have these pre-built-in lines or guidelines to follow, so you don't really have to worry too much about messing up, but you just have to make sure you have a steady hand, which I do not. So it took me quite a bit of time to paint all of these black lines into the mask. And this is how your mask should look after you have finished painting in all the black lines, but we could take it a step further. This step is fully optional, but I believe that since characters in Naruto are always out on missions and hardly have time to shower, they're bound to be dirty. There's just no way their outfits stay clean 24/7, so I stained Obitos' mask. To do this, you'll want to add some black paint and water into a bowl. It shouldn't be thick at all and should be very watery as shown in the clip. Once your staining concoction is mixed, paint all over your mask, and I know this step seems really scary, which is why I only started out with half of the mask, but it adds really nice detail to it, as you can see in this next clip where I show the parts where I stained it and also the parts where I did not. Again, if you prefer the smooth and finished look of Obitos' mask, definitely skip this step, but I prefer it looking a little bit dirty and kind of realistic to the story. If you want a deeper stain, you can let your paint mix concoction sit a little bit longer onto your mask, but I took mine off right away because I knew I was going to go back on with a second or even a third coat of this staining mixture. I just wanted to make it a little bit dirty. I didn't want it to be fully covered, but I did want it to show a bit more, especially in real life. To take off your staining mixture, you can use a paper towel or even tissue paper and just lightly dab it or even wipe at it. But you kind of want to leave the mixture in between the cracks because this makes it look more realistic as grime really builds up into the cracks of any surface that it touches. And now I'm just going back with a little sponge to add some more texture into the mask. You don't have to do this. This was my own personal preference, but I think it adds a lot of nice detail to it. This last step is fully optional, but I believe that since Obito has ended a lot of people's existences before they had a chance to begin, I think his mask would be a little bit bloody. And it also fit perfect for Halloween. To do this, you're just going to put your paintbrush in a little bit of red paint and flick it or even throw it at your mask. Seriously, just go crazy with it. But make sure you cover all surfaces that you're working on because it can get pretty messy. Honestly, when I was working on it, it went onto my face, it got onto my counters, and also on the floor somehow. I don't really know how that happened, but definitely cover all of your surfaces so you don't have to spend that much time cleaning up like I did. And this is the finished product of the Obito mask tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you make a mask using this, use the hashtag #ImadeItWithAzunoYuki so I can see your work too. Last year, I made Tomie's mask from Junji Ito. This year, I made Obito's mask from Naruto. What would you like to see next year? Leave your comments below. Also, for those of you asking if I make custom masks, I actually have an online shop called The Anime Vault Official, and if you guys would like to see all of the cosplay items I have listed, definitely check them out. It will be linked below. Azu out!